Let's segue now into the war in Gaza and in Lebanon. At least 2 Palestinians have been killed, including a child, following Israeli strikes on the West Bank Nur Shams refugee camp. 1 Palestinian was also killed in the refugee camp in Tulkam. According to the Israeli army, it was conducting an operation targeting what it called terrorist infrastructure in Nur Shams. Official Palestinian news agency Wafa said a large number of Israeli vehicles and heavy bulldozers stormed the city and headed towards the Nur Shams refugee camp. Back at the UN, the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Occupied Palestinian Territory, including East Jerusalem and Israel, has condemned the number of children who have been killed in the war in Gaza amid those strikes by Israel. Navi Pillay and Chris Sidoti were speaking at a UN noon briefing. Sidoti noting that 38 Israeli children were killed on October 7, 2023, and at least 13,319 Palestinian children have since died in Israeli attacks. Pillay called on global leaders to change their approach to both states, insisting on a distinction between occupier and occupied.
On the 7th of October, 38 Israeli children were killed, one of them under the age of 2 years. Since then, at least as of last week, 13,319 children have been killed in Gaza, of whom 786 were under the age of 1. And in addition, 165 children have been killed in the West Bank. Now, that's the only statistic I want to give you. Kids aren't terrorists. And yet, between what happened in southern Israel on the 7th of October and what has happened since then, we have had thousands and thousands of kids killed. And that's not even including those who are injured, those who are under the rubble, those who have lost limbs. It's said that the amputations of limbs of children is the greatest in any conflict in recorded modern warfare. I wonder about what the 1 million children in Gaza will be doing in 20 years' time. The conflict in Gaza is an Israeli terrorism creation factory, and there is no sign of it finishing.
And every day we witness new horrific attacks on civilians and civilian objects in the Gaza Strip, including medical facilities. Attacks on medical facilities, as we said in our current report to the GA, and the complete destruction of Gaza's healthcare system was the main focus of this report. And we believe it's an outrage that such attacks are continuing unabated. And as we said many times before, an immediate ceasefire is the utmost priority and should pave the way for peace, justice, and accountability for all victims.
In the same vein, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in the Palestinian Territories, Francesca Albanese, has called on states to help stop the destruction of Gaza, reaffirming reasonable grounds that Israel has been committing acts of genocide in the Palestinian enclave. Albanese also questioned Israel's right to a seat at the United Nations, acquired in 1949. And in the past, Albanese's remarks on the Israel-Hamas conflict have drawn scrutiny, including from the US, which has accused her of anti-Semitism.
I can say that for over 1 year, I've pleaded to all concerned parties, particularly those states who can exert more influence on the state of Israel, to take concrete actions to stop the destruction of Gaza, the destruction of the Palestinian people, to ensure the prompt and unconditional release of all hostages, both Israelis and Palestinians, and to ensure international law is respected. And had international law been respected, at least in the last 12 months, this would have stopped. It should have stopped. It should have been stopped by the Security Council last October. It should have been stopped after the first set of provisional measures issued by the International Court of Justice. It should have stopped when I presented my first report. It should have stopped before Rafah was invaded or before the invasion of Lebanon. And instead, the silence, or worse, the justification of a small but influential number of states has continued to enable and to nurture the hubris that leads Israeli conduct.
Well, Saudi Arabia has inaugurated the first meeting of the Global Alliance for the Implementation of the Two-State Solution to Conflicts between Israel and Palestinians in the Middle East. Announced last month in partnership with international allies, the alliance aims to mobilize global support for a viable, sustainable two-state resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Saudi Minister of Foreign Affairs, Prince Faisal bin Farhan bin Abdullah, opened the meeting in Riyadh on Wednesday alongside the Commissioner General of the United Nations Relief Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, Philip Lazzarini. He condemned the mounting Israeli violations, emphasizing the urgent need for the international community's intervention to halt such actions that threaten regional stability and the potential for a peaceful two-state outcome. Prince Faisal called for an immediate ceasefire, advocating for the release of hostages and detainees and the establishment of accountability mechanisms to address ongoing violations. He reaffirmed Saudi Arabia's support for UNRWA's role in delivering humanitarian aid amid the ongoing challenges in the Palestinian territories. The kingdom's concerns extend to Lebanon, where Israel has carried out an operation against Hezbollah militants, reiterating its condemnation of actions undermining Palestinian and Lebanese security.